Those people are actually just like us, 2 motorcycles at the back in a camper. That's awesome. I've never seen that. Yeah.
This part of our lives is called unloading the motorcycles. Dalian is 11 years old and he drives a 300 KTM. He has taught himself to start the bike, walk to the other side, get on and drive away. Our next boondocking site was at the Continental Divide Trail System. For the first time in 30 days, the weather was so nice we got to make a fire outside. We spent hours outside, and on the left-hand side, Dalian made his own little fire.
There's this thing I do every morning. I make the bed. As you all will see, this is not a very big bedroom. There's not a lot of space, so I'm going to try and take you through it. Just at the angle so you can see better.
Maybe one day I'll find an easier solution to do this, but in the meantime, this is how I do it. Puffing the pillows, straightening it out, and making it feel like a 5-star hotel bed. Just for this conversation, let's pretend that I was just talking to myself.
And that's how I make the bed.
Mornings around here is very quiet. We go on hikes, we ride the bicycle, and we just enjoy nature. That's until Billy calls and says we're spending one night in Clifton, Arizona. Little did I know this was one of the most haunted towns around. The Ghost Hunters was called out in 2020 to come and investigate this town. Normally they would get called out to just investigate one house, but in this case, the entire town.
I've had a real creepy experience.
And I experienced the scariest thing that's ever happened to me.
You get this real bad feeling.
It didn't feel nice.
I was just spooked.
This is the most haunted community you've never heard of. We are the perfect storm for paranormal activity.
This town has a lot of history. The Chinese started the mine in this community. It's just a lot of death.
A woman had drowned her children in the San Francisco River.
The last flood was very devastating, wiped out much of Clifton.
This town was rougher than a lot of other towns way back in the Wild West.
There were shootings, people knifing each other. It was nothing to find somebody floating down the river.
We've had fires and floods. We've had gunfights, cemeteries that have been moved. We've had things happen here that shouldn't happen anywhere.
I started hearing torturous screaming. I got so scared, I fled.
And I ran.
We took off running.
This black thing just passed by.
That's just a black mass.
It's black. I seen it.
You hear like footsteps.
I've actually had footsteps right behind me.
But nobody was there.
Our guests are safe.
The question is this town cursed? Can you guys help us?
The next morning, we woke up safe and sound and we explored the town. This is a charming little town. Me and Dalian just drove around exploring all the old buildings. The one thing we love to do is explore the old historic downtown areas. It feels like stepping into a time capsule where the layers of history, culture, and architecture are meticulously preserved for future generations. We quickly discovered that windstorms is a part of Arizona. This was my first time experiencing really bad winds like this.
We made it to Arizona, now called the Windy State.
We drove into the high country part of Arizona. In 1863, miners reported that they found gold. This was the lure that opened Arizona to the Anglo-American settlement. Wilderness campers have 1.4 million acres of land to choose a primitive spot.
The wind is really bad.
We camped for one night in Bowie, Arizona. It is home to more than 700 pistachio, almond, and pecan trees. We had a leak on the propane regulator. We sprayed soap and found some bubbles around this area. Until we can get this fixed, we close the propane during the evenings, but for now, I need some coffee. So I went outside, opened up the propane tanks, and made some coffee.
Day 34 on the road. We are leaving Bowie. Bowie was an interesting little town. It doesn't have much, but I really enjoyed looking at all the pecan trees and pistachio trees. Apparently there is more than 700,000 pistachio trees in Bowie itself. They have a hot spring about 17 miles out on a dirt road. We tried to do that yesterday, but the road wasn't very well, so we just went exploring in the little town. There's a lot of old buildings that people aren't living in anymore. I took a bunch of photos of that. I really like seeing things like that because I want to know what the history is, but you won't always know.
We went on the dirt road yesterday, but it was so corrugated, and I think my tire pressure is about 80 psi. I didn't feel like letting it down, so the road was just too bad to go and see the hot springs. But we had a bit of a dust storm yesterday, so I believe they closed down the highway, and everybody was preparing for that. It was first time to see a dust storm like this. It wasn't too bad, but
and today there's nothing. It's calm, it's good weather.
The sky is clear, no planes spraying aluminium phosphide in the sky.
Yeah.
So we're heading towards Tombstone. We've got a friend, Bill, that sent us a location of where they camped. It's pretty unsure if the location is correct. We're going to check it out and see what it's like, and then we're going to probably stay there a couple of days, explore Tombstone, and then head north. So it's been 34 days since we left Crystal Beach. We've been on the road a couple of days, trying to drive as little as possible, not driving more than 2 or 3 hours if we don't have to, and trying to stay on places as much as we enjoy it. Every place we've been, the one next to the lake at White Sands was just an amazing place to stay. You're just away from everybody. Everybody there that you meet is nice. Then we moved closer to Silver City, New Mexico, to meet up with some friends, and we stayed there in a boondocking area in a national park, where it was also great. Lots of nice walking trails, and there was lots of space for me and Dalian to ride. But we've been off-grid for 10 days, so it was time to get to an RV park and get our tanks cleaned out, did some washing, and got water, so we're ready to do another 7 or 10 days off-grid.
had some items falling down, but we made it to Tombstone. In the next episode, I'll show you where we parked, how much we paid, and I'll take you into Tombstone.